Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hank Haney Podcast here on nofilter.net. You can also see the Hank Haney Podcast on my Hank Haney Podcast YouTube channel, so go there and check it out. And you can hear the Hank Haney Podcast wherever you find your podcasts. All right, this podcast is brought to you by HaneyUniversity.com and my new website, HankHaneyGolfStudio.com. You can find out information there about golf lessons from me. You can find out information about my new golf studio in Deerfield, Illinois. You can find out information about my online golf lessons. Got a great monthly package deal, unlimited video analysis and online lessons for $200 a month. That is a good deal if you want to get better at golf. This is the way that you can do it. I will personally help you get better at the game of golf. All right, today's podcast, we are going to talk about the Masters tournament. It is Masters week. The tournament is about to begin, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what to look for. First off, let me talk about the Masters. I was looking through a tweet on the X the other day, and Gary Player had the Masters ranked fourth among the majors. I think he had the Open Championship, also known as the British Open. He had the U.S. Open, the PGA, and fourth, he had the Masters. I almost fell out of my chair. Now, I am not a huge fan of the whole Augusta scene. Having been there many, many, many years, I don't know how many years I've been there. It's close to 30 years probably. But I will say this. The Masters at Augusta National is by far, not even close, the greatest major championship. Now the Open Championship, I would rank second. No doubt about that. It's considered the Open of the world because it's more of a worldwide tournament than, say, the U.S. Open. So my ranking would be Masters first, Open Champion second, U.S. Open third, PGA fourth. And there's times when I could vary and maybe even say the PGA and the U.S. Open are kind of tied for third and fourth. But I give the nod to the U.S. Open. It sounds a little bit better. Although the field at the PGA is typically better than the U.S. Open. The Masters field is not great. It's even weaker this year. This is probably the weakest field they've ever had. No Tiger, and the field is weaker because Augusta is still going off the official World Golf ranking list, which is a bogus, inaccurate list. It has John Rahm, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, all these players ranked in the hundredths and 200ths and 280th and something like. I mean, it's just ridiculous because it's the official World Golf ranking. Now, those players I all listed are all in the tournament because they're all past champions. So past champions get to play at Augusta. But there are other players that are in the top 50 in the official World Golf ranking that would not be in the tournament if the official golf ranking was accurate and reflected the top 50 players in the world. Carlos Ortiz would be a name that would come to mind. Abe Answer might be another name that would come to mind. Certainly top 50 players in the world. And in their place is somebody playing in the Masters that wouldn't qualify for the Masters if the official World Golf rankings were accurate. And then on top of that, of course, you have no Tiger Woods. Now, Tiger is out with the Achilles and maybe wouldn't have been a factor anyways. But any major tournament without Tiger Woods is a decline from when Tiger Woods was playing, and it's a big decline from when Tiger Woods was playing in his prime. So the field is not great, and the players that are playing, some of which that you would anticipate would be, you know, threats to win, are not playing their best. Coming to mind there would be Xander Schauffele. He's not on top of his game. Had an injury to start the year. Has had a little trouble getting going. Doesn't mean he couldn't. Max Homa and not playing worth a darn. Hasn't played worth a darn for a while. Patrick Cantley, one of the top ranked players in the world, hasn't won in I don't know a couple years. Colin Morikawa, another top ranked player. He's had trouble finishing when he has been in contention. He hasn't won in a while. Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas playing better, but not winning. So even the players, Tony Finau hasn't done anything this year. Another name a player that's done, had a fairly good record at Augusta. So a lot of players that you might consider to be, threats at Augusta. I don't know how Koepka's playing. It's hard to tell. I mean, he's playing on LIV. You don't see much of it. It's not, the easiest tournaments scheduled to judge how somebody's form is, but definitely Dustin Johnson's not playing any good. He's a player that's played great at Augusta before and won there. John Rahm's going okay, but I wouldn't say he's lights out. And Scheffler's not lights out either. I mean, Scotty Scheffler has had some good finishes this year. He's not stinking up the joint, but he's not exactly lighting on fire either, coming off a 9-win season, and he hasn't won yet on the PGA Tour, and it's April. Now, he got a late start with the wine glass hand injury, but nevertheless, he's not playing great, at least by his standards. And I'm sure he would love to have a win or two going into Augusta. Now, Rory's playing good. I still like Scheffler because he's a top player. And every time people ask me, and I had people ask me today, like, Hank, who do you like at the Masters? And I mean, how do you pick the winner of a golf tournament? I mean, so many things have to go your way. You have to play great. You have to putt great. Generally speaking, you've got to be top 10 in ball striking and top 10 in putting for the week to win a golf tournament. A lot of the great ball strikers are not necessarily the tour leaders in putting, so they don't have that many top 10 putting weeks. Certain players could win without a top 10 putting week. That would be Rory. That would be Scotty Scheffler. That might be John Rahm. That's a short list, though. That's a short list of players that could win without parlaying the putting and the ball striking. And you look at to combine those two when you're only going to be top 10 putting a certain amount of weeks a year, even if you're a really good putter. How can you guess that it's going to happen on the hardest greens on the PGA Tour, and that's Augusta National? So hard to pick a winner, but easy to pick a winner when you get a look at the tournament, when the tournament unfolds, and it's really easy given the fact that 19 out of the last 20 Masters champions have been top 10 after one round. So if you want to find the Masters champion, look for them after one round of the tournament. Some of your favorites will already be in the tank. They'll already be gone. And you'll hear it on TV, and they'll be talking about it on the radio, and they'll be talking about this guy's not out of it yet, and he needs a good round to get back in it, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And the fact of the matter is 19 out of the last 20 Masters champions have been top 10 after one round. So when you see players outside the top 10, not looking good. That's the thing. Now, the one year out of the last 20, the 1 year out of the last 20, when the winner was not in the top 10 after the first round was Tiger Woods in 2019, and he was 11th. So there you go. 20 out of 20 years in a row, you got to be 11th or better after one round to find the winner. And that means that you better get off to a decent start. You don't have to be the leader after one round, but if you're far behind, it's hard to catch up. And it's hard to catch up because the golf course, even though it will yield some low scores, and the possibilities are out there. There's 4 par 5s, there's eagle opportunities, but there's also a lot of difficult holes. And the pin placements are tough. The greens are tough. The margins are tight. Pins are on little shelves, and you got to hit perfect shots. Swirling winds, even if there's any wind at all, it's difficult to play there. So you're not gonna see players that come from back in the pack, regardless of what they tell you on TV. This guy's like 30th after the first round, and 3 shots out of the top 10. They're going to tell you how he's got a chance. He just needs a good round tomorrow and put a good round together, get back in the tournament, da 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 da. And the odds of that happening are very, very slim. It's not impossible, but it's very, very slim. I remember when Mark O'Meara won in 1998. He shot 74 after the first round, and he was not in the top 10, not with a 74, and he won that tournament. But it was a high scoring week, and I don't know if that's going to be the case this year at Augusta. The weather's supposed to be pretty good. Usually when you have the high scoring week, it's a lot of wind, rain, wind, and it becomes really, really difficult to play. And I don't know if that's what the forecast is for this week. But of course, you never know. I mean, anything could happen. But my thought is you better get off to a good start. Now, the thing that determines the winner at Augusta is my 3 keys to better golf. And these 3 keys hold together for every single person who plays the game of golf. Key number 1, you have to eliminate penalty strokes. That is number 1. Key number 2 is you have to eliminate what I call 2 chips. 2 chips, 2 pitches, 2 sand shots. You got to get the ball on the green in one shot when you're in close proximity to the green. And the third key is eliminating 3 putts. Now at Augusta, you're going to have an opportunity for a lot of 3 putts, and you have the opportunity for penalty shots. You can take a penalty shot on number 2, par 5, get it hooking a little bit, goes down the hill into the creek. Possible penalty shot there. You could get it up against a tree on any hole and come up with a penalty shot, although it's not as likely. But it's number 2 is a penalty shot possibility. There's a possibility of a penalty shot on number 5. The par 4, you can let it go right, and it can get away from you there into the woods, maybe out of bounds. Okay, that's a possibility. You got a penalty shot possibility on number 10, left of the woods, and that can get you in a penalty shot. 11, the same thing. You can get left there and get in a penalty shot situation. You can get in a penalty shot situation on number 11 with your second shot into the pond in front of the green. And then, of course, 12, 12 will knock someone out of it. Somebody will be in the tournament, have a chance, and 12 will knock them out. That just happens every year. Okay, the 12th hole, they'll hit a good shot. The wind will gust a little bit. They'll misjudge it, wrong club, whatever. They didn't hit it hard enough, and next thing you know, it's in the water, and the tournament's over. Boom, done. So 12 is a big hole. 13, another penalty shot off the tee, penalty shot possibility on the second shot. Okay, and then 15, the same thing, penalty shot there on the second shot. And those holes right there, those are your penalty shot holes. Now 18, people have taken penalty shots when they've hit it, left and hit a terrible tee shot, and it gets caught in the bushes down there, and that could happen as well. So you have a lot of penalty shot possibilities at Augusta. And to win any golf tournament, you typically have to keep your total of penalty shots, 2 chips, and 3 putts down to a level that is very, very low. And I'm talking typically less than 1 per round. Less than 4 for the week. Now, if you play spectacular and you have a total of 4 penalty shots, 2 chips, or 3 putts, you do that, then you keep that total down, and you play great, and you have 4, you could probably you might be able to pull out the win. But I would prefer 1 or 2. You find somebody that has 0, 1, or 2 penalty shots, 2 chips, or 3 putts. That's who your winner is going to be in the tournament. That's simple. And now here's how I'm going to count 3 putts too, because sometimes the tournament statistics don't really show you the 3 putts, because Augusta's greens are really sloped and they're humped. So a lot of balls will land on the green and it'll roll off the green. And maybe the ball is just off. Maybe it's 6 inches off the green. Maybe it's a foot off the green. Maybe it's a foot and a half off the green. But they're not far off the green. And the players will elect to putt from there. That's the play that most of the players will use. And I count that as a 3-putt. Not just when you're on the green surface, but if you're an inch off the green and you putt and you 3-putt, I count that as a 3-putt. And every player in the field, when they 3-putt from 1 inch off the green, in their mind, they count that as a 3-putt, even though statistically it will not show up on the tournament statistics as a 3-putt because they weren't technically on the green. So I want to give you a little glimpse of and a little history here on these penalty shots, 2 chips, and 3 putts. When Tiger won in 2019, he had no penalty shots. Remember, he got lucky on 13. Hit it left, got kicked out, boom, saved him 2 shots there. That's the difference between losing and winning the golf tournament. Simple as that. Could have been out of bounds or lost ball in the woods, stroke and distance penalty, could have been in the creek, kicked back out of the trees, gone into the azaleas, left. I mean, bad shot. Boom, threw it back out in the fairway, and there you go. No penalty shots, no 2 chips, 1 3-putt. Okay. Same year, 2019, Brooks Koepka. He had 6 3-putts and 5 penalty strokes for a grand total of 11. And he lost the tournament by 1 shot. That is what you call pissing a tournament away. That is what that's called. He had the total of 11 penalty shots, 2 chips, and 3 putts, and lost by 1 shot. You have to play so incredibly good to have done that, but he made a mess. And the mess was the penalty shots and the 3 putts. And that'll be the difference in the tournament. Now, guys will be playing good. They'll be on the lead. They'll be close to the lead, and they'll be right there. And then maybe they'll have 3 3-putts after 36 holes, and they'll still be right there with a chance to win. But at the end of the day, if they have a total of more than 4 3-putts, penalty shots, 2 chips, the odds are astronomical that they will not win that golf tournament. I don't care if they're hanging tough with 3 or 4 3-putts. I don't care if they're hanging tough with a couple penalty shots and a couple 3-putts. At the end of the day, that will be the margin of their loss if they end up losing the golf tournament. It holds true all the time. And I remember when I was coaching Tiger, it always boiled down to 3 putts. 3 putts. I think I coached him 6 years at Augusta. He would have won that tournament at least 5 years if he hadn't had 3 putts. If he'd have had just 1 or 2 3-putts, he'd have won 5 out of 6 years. That was the difference every year. Every year. He didn't take penalty shots, didn't hit it in the creek, but 3 putts. And a hard golf course to get around with no 3 putts. Now you got to make putts, you got to hole putts, you got to get fortunate. Everything has to happen, but you can't 3-putt and win that tournament. It's just you can't do it more than once a day. It's just that simple. So I watch and I see, here's a good player. He's playing good, hitting the ball good. He's already had 2 3 putts after 1 round or 2 rounds, and I think, one or two more 3 putts, and it's not going to happen for him. He can't overcome that margin. So that's the thing that I look for, and it's very telling as to who the winners are. Now in Augusta, it's they'll talk about strokes gained with your iron play. So typically, people who hit the most amount of greens, hit the ball closest to the hole, are the best iron players, will have a huge advantage at Augusta. The length is an advantage because the long hitters are all essentially playing a par 68. You can reach number 2, the par 5, no problem. You can reach number 8. It's a little more difficult, but you can reach number 8, the par 5. And then 13 and 15 are very reachable. 13 is just like a long par 4. So they're playing, the long hitters are playing a par 68. It doesn't always work out this way, but a long hitter at Augusta has a huge advantage because essentially they're starting the week at 16 under par. They're 4 under par. They're playing par 68. So they're 16 under for the week. 12 under might win. So they need to play 1 over per each day in order to win the golf tournament. Well, 1 over for a long hitter is 69, 69, 69, 69. That's it. But they're playing par 68. Maybe they're playing, if number 8's not reachable every day, okay, they're playing par 60, 69. But still, that's an even par round, par 69 for a long hitter. Now, if you're a short hitter, it's a different ballgame. Now you're not playing par, you're playing par 72, or everybody can get to 13. Pretty much everybody can get to 15. So maybe you're playing a par 70, and you gotta you just have a tougher road to hoe if you're not a long hitter. So I always will favor the long hitter at Augusta. I always favor the best putters at Augusta. I always favor experience at Augusta. So anybody who's won there before has a huge edge up, and that's why I would take the best player in the world, Scotty Scheffler. Even though he hasn't won this year, he would be my pick. I do the same thing when I pick every major. I pick whoever the best player in the world is. Now, if it's close, I'll take whoever's playing the best. None of them are playing that great. Rory's probably playing better than anybody, but I didn't like the way he finished that U.S. Open, and I didn't like the way he finished that Players Championship, even though he won. I mean, that wasn't, and what scared me was running that putt by on 16, the par 5, after he hits it on the green in 2. That's just to lag it up to the hole thing. I mean, those aren't Augusta greens. That's Sawgrass, TPC, Sawgrass. That's he runs that thing 3.5 feet by, and not a great first putt on 18 either. So he's a little shaky on the finish. A lot of pressure, wanting to complete the career Grand Slam. But if it's going to happen, for Rory McIlroy, this could be the year that it's going to happen. I mean, because of how everybody else is playing, if Rory can get off to a start, he doesn't have to be leading the tournament. If he is, that'd be great. He doesn't have to be leading the tournament. But the odds say, and history says, he needs to be top 10 after the first round. A lot of pressure on the first round at Augusta because every player knows that. Every player knows you need to be hanging around right from the get-go. You got it. And U.S. Open's a lot the same way. You got to be hanging around from the get-go there too. It's the same thing there. You're not making a big comeback there. Open Championship, PGA, you can make a little comeback. You're not making the big comeback at the Open or at the U.S. Open, and you're not making a big comeback at the Masters. Most likely, it's happened, but it's probably not going to happen. So I look for guys to get off to a good start. And then when I'm looking at the favorites, I just go right down the favorite list. That's who I'm looking at. Now, if I was going to bet before, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, those are your top 2 favorites. Colin Morikawa is next with Jon Rahm. Colin Morikawa, he doesn't have the great length. doesn't have the great putt. So and he's 14 to 1 odds. I no. John Rahm. I don't know how he's going, but I love John Rahm's game. Bryson DeChambeau. He hits it forever. He's definitely playing a par 68. Uh, but when I look at the U.S. Open and all the things that had, like how he putted and how he chipped and how the miraculous shots he hit, and that much had to happen for him. Like, can you do that? Like in multiple majors and if that's your formula, uh, it's tough. Scotty Scheffler's formula is just go out there and play like he can play. He's going to hit it. He's going to hit it close to the hole. He's going to make a few putts. He's knows the golf course. He's the defending champion, and he's my favorite there. A lot of people are on Ludwig Oberg, and I mean, his recent form is not the greatest, but he does have a perfect game for Augusta National. He's a possibility. And after that, Xander Schauffele's 22 to 1 because Xander Schauffele would be one of the favorites if he had played decent this year, but he hasn't. Uh, can he get it going? I mean, he's done it before. When you've won majors, it's a big difference. So this, and then you got Brooks Koepka 30 to 1, and you got Hideki Matsuyama at 33 to 1. Those guys, Koepka won a lot of majors, and shoulda, woulda, coulda won the Masters, and Hideki's won the Masters. So I would, even though they're 31 and 33 to 1, I would put them higher up on my list right there. A lot of these other guys that people want to talk about, Fleetwood. I saw Fleetwood was 35 to 1. He's never even won on the PGA Tour. I don't see that. Cantley, I don't see that. Spieth 35 to 1, and nothing telling me that he plays Augusta so good, but there's nothing that's telling me that he's in form to do that. So to me, it looks like a short list. It looks like Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy. I'd put Rahm on there. I'd put Bryson on there. I'd put Ludwig on there, and I'd put. I'd tell you a name that I would consider on there is Joaquin Niemann, the LIV player who's played really good the last couple of years, and then I'd put Koepka and I'd put Hideki. Those are this is a short list. This is a short list, but players that have won before, could do it again. I mean, that's a possibility. I can't wait to watch. Augusta is my tournament. This is, I've been saying this for 2 years now, ever since everybody's been talking about LIV, or 3 years, however long it's been with LIV. And I said, they keep saying LIV is an exhibition. I said, they're all exhibitions. There's 4 real golf tournaments, and this is one of them. And this is the big one. If you're a professional and you're an agent of a professional golfer, the tournament you want to win is the Masters. You will get the most notoriety. You will get the most endorsements. You will get everything you want comes from winning the Masters. This is the tournament. And it seems like every single year, and there's exceptions, but they're rare exceptions. It seems like every single year, it's always a great tournament. And you know why? Because it's the best championship golf course there is. It just is. And it produces great leaderboards. It produces great drama. And it's fun to watch. And all the history, and you see, because they play the same course every year. I think that's a big key as to why Augusta and the Masters is my number one major. Number one by far. Hope everybody has a great time watching the Masters. I can't wait to give you a little recap on what I think went good and wrong for the winners and the losers at the Masters. And I hope everybody has a great Masters week, and we will talk to you soon on the Hank Haney Podcast.